just here with Josh Grenville Wood. Josh has been with fourfive for about a year and a half, been working together. It's been amazing to see his progress and what he's been doing and where he's at. Josh is a golfer, young up and coming golfer. He's played on the MENA Tour, the Asian Tour, the European Tour. I think Josh, I'll probably miss a heap of stuff there, but we'll delve into it in a bit more depth in a minute. But can we just start? First of all, hello.
How you doing?
Very good, very good. First of all, must be jealous because just through the window over your shoulder, I can see that it's like 30 degrees and sunny.
It's a little bit of sunshine out there, yeah.
So just tell us where you are at the minute and what you're up to.
So I'm out in Dubai right now, just a bit of winter training really. So I've been out here for just over a month now, and I've got another 3 weeks left. So it's just been out here with training, obviously in the gym a lot, and getting back into practice and stuff, which is good.
Oh, awesome. Massively jealous. It's cold and grey here at the minute, so never mind. So obviously I've given a bit of an update on what you're doing at the minute, but can you just give us kind of a little bit about yourself and just your background?
Yeah, so I started playing golf when I was 2. Ever since I could walk, I would just go to the golf course with my dad. He was also a professional golfer as well. So I just sort of went to the range with him every day when I was young, and just fell in love with hitting balls and going out and playing and stuff like that. And it was always more enjoyment for me. I did it because I enjoyed it. And then growing up through the years, I grew up in the US, which is huge for golf. And I think that really helped out, I guess, where I am today and pushing me to what I'm doing right now. And then I guess I went to university for a little bit in the US for golf. I did 3 months of that and then dropped out and decided to turn pro, and just sort of went from there, just being on a little steady incline of my golf getting better and me moving up on the tiers and tours and stuff. So it's been really good fun, and I've enjoyed every way of it so far.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you've got a bit of it. We caught up a couple of weeks ago, and I remember chatting to you then about your accent, and it's a bit all over the place and a bit mix and match. So I guess you growing up in America and between America and the UK kind of got a bit confused.
I guess I pick up little things here and there when I travel as well.
Yeah. So obviously you're in Dubai at the minute, a bit of a training camp. And I'd imagine it's not a difficult place to be able to have a bit of downtime. So, but what do you do in your downtime to kind of get away from golf and relax?
I don't really. It's tough, really, because I'm quite harsh on myself, as in I push myself quite a bit, obviously physically and mentally. So, I mean, if I'm not at the golf course, I'm normally in the gym or doing some sort of exercise. I think a big part of my life as well is playing tennis. I absolutely love playing tennis, and you can ask anyone wherever I am in the world, I'll always have my tennis racket and my tennis shoes with me, just in case I've got a chance to play. But I guess between not doing any sport or exercise at all, I'll probably just go sit at the beach for a couple hours, or just go chill out in the mall or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be the first thing I'd love to do, chill on the beach. But as it stands,
it's a good time of year.
Yeah, as it stands, it's just home on the sofa with a cup of tea, or a beer, whichever one hits my hand first. Yeah, like I guess you touched on it there. Like I know you're a very driven person and like very professional. How do you find it difficult, like that kind of professional to personal life ratio?
To a certain extent, yes, because I think a lot of what professional athletes, like, is what we do off the field or the golf course, just still has an impact in some way. And how we perform and get on. I think I've always been a bit cautious with what I'm doing off course, and what I'm doing with myself and how I'm looking after myself, as I don't really want to ruin anything or destroy your body or something.
Yeah, it's difficult to switch off, especially like when you got like a big game or coming up. Like for me, it was just like in season was just such a difficult time to like always be like, I was always mentally kind of thinking about it, and then just finding that kind of balance is difficult. Something that I'm probably still working on outside of now that I've retired as well. So like obviously like rest is like a key thing for all of us, and although like you said, going to the gym and working is hard, like how is your kind of rest routine and your sleep routine?
I try to stick to a pretty good sleep routine. I think that's very important. So one thing I try and do is just wake up at the same time every day. For me, like 7 hours is good enough. Anywhere between sort of 6 and 8 hours is good enough for me to sleep. So I normally I'm a bit of an early bird, so I tend to wake up around 6:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I like to get out and get practicing and working out nice and early, just because it's not as busy. But I think just having my consistent sleep routine is quite beneficial. And then obviously a lot of stretching and physio stuff, just to make sure that I'm not overstressing the body a bit and just putting it through hell.
Yeah, it's something that I imagine is difficult for you. Like we mentioned, a lot of the tours that you go on, like obviously different time zones. Like do you find it sometimes difficult to adapt and to those time zones in like limited times? I imagine that you arrive and then you've got to be straight on a course in a certain time. Like what do you do when you need to like get to sleep on a certain time or adapt?
Yeah.
Like jet lag, basically.
I struggle with jet lag. I don't know why. I've been traveling for 4 years now, and I still haven't figured out how to get around jet lag. I guess I guess I've taken stuff, just maybe I don't even know what I've done. I just try and stay up, get to like 9, 10 o'clock wherever I am in the evening, and I'll just try and go to sleep from there. I mean, obviously when I'm going out to Asia and stuff like that, from where I normally am, it's going ahead of time, so it's a bit harder, because then it's like your normal bedtime's like early morning for them. But I've always found that when I'm going back towards Europe, it's a lot easier, because you just have to force yourself to stay awake for just a few more hours. And then another thing, obviously recently with you guys, is taking CBD oil. I found that's definitely helped with being able to almost relax a bit more and have a better night's sleep. Almost, it's like just eases the body, I guess.
Yeah, well, we do get that feedback quite a bit, so I'm glad that you're finding it. It helps as well. And then obviously lockdown over here is lockdown. You spent some of lockdown in the UK, I know that. Obviously, it's in Dubai, not as much lockdown. But what did you do in the UK to kind of keep yourself entertained?
I built a home gym, so I turned my garage into a little man cave almost. So I built a golf net in there, put a putting mat in there, and then just decked it out with gym equipment like a squat rack, adjustable bench I can bench press on and stuff, a couple dumbbells, some medicine balls. I basically just spent the whole of lockdown just lifting, really, and trying to strengthen my body and get ready for when obviously we do come back and play. I think it was very good. It was almost a good thing for me, because I had problems with my lower back being a bit too weak, not being able to take all the strain that it does. And I think I came out of lockdown a lot stronger, mentally and physically, which was a big benefit, I think. And I don't obviously it's hindered my season a bit, not being able to compete, but at the same time, it's been a very practical time for me.
Maybe you put me to shame there. The only thing I came out of lockdown with was about 3 or 4 extra kilos.
Well, I came out with a few extra kilos, that's for
sure. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's awesome. Like, fair play. So what's your recovery routine on like a daily basis?
So daily, I mean, when I'm out here in Dubai and stuff like that, we have obviously all the facilities and the staff and stuff like that out here. So once I've finished all my training for the day, I tend to either go sit in the sauna or the steam room for 10, 15 minutes just to sort of detox a little bit, just relax. And then obviously I'll go shower and then come home, and then I'll stretch out for a little bit. And I pretty much become a couch bug for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's key. That's my main recovery method.
Yeah.
But I guess when you play tournaments, you play like day after day after day, right?
Yeah.
So like it's kind of key that you're in peak shape like every single day. Like, do you up your recovery like when you're in tournaments?
It's a little bit tougher because of time wise, I guess. And a lot of the time when we're traveling, we don't always have the facilities that we need. But I mean, I've played on tours like the Challenge Tour where we've got availability to 2 to 3 physios every week that we can use every day. As long as we book on the day, we just book what time we want and we see them for an hour or so. So say I'm playing in Europe, a lot of the time I will go see the physio after my round. And obviously a big part for us is our legs. So using stuff like a normal tech, which is basically air compressors for your legs, found that's been very big in recovery, just for obviously helping our legs relax a bit and just chill, because they get almost abused really with how far we walk every day and what we have to put them through.
Yeah. So obviously, when I last saw you, you were recovering from a wrist injury. How long were you out for with that?
So I was originally out for a month with tendonitis, and then I tried to come back a little bit too early, I guess, and damaged a ligament in the same area. So I took another month off then, which kind of really led into a month and a half, almost 2 months. So totally, it was probably close to 3 months totally that I took off. Once I tried to come back and it didn't work, obviously then I got a little bit nervous and didn't want to push that or have that happen again. So I think I just took that extra 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off just to make sure that it was okay.
Yeah, because like after chatting to you, it kind of struck me a little bit because like in rugby, we would have like 4 physios every single day, like obviously spread around a lot more people, but like we had access to them every single day. And like for you, like with where you are in your career, like that you kind of have to source that yourself, right? And kind of make sure that you're on top of that yourself. Is that difficult? And is there anything else aside from that you do?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I think I mean, at the level I'm at, we're not making the big bucks like all the other boys are at the very top of the game.
It's coming, mate, don't worry.
And yeah. And I mean, they can obviously afford to have their physios travel with them and stuff like that. So it's obviously a bit harder for us to do that. But you got to find a way and find the right people. And I think I found the right people to help me out with my physio and stuff. Someone that obviously I can trust, that they know what they're doing, and that I'm not going to end up paying an arm and a leg just to get it all sorted out, which obviously is the other main thing, is make sure that we can afford to pay for all of it. And a lot of it as well, I think, along with the physio, was just trying to strengthen it up slowly again, rebuild it. And then I think a big part in a lot of my injuries has been taking CBD oil and I think for me personally, I feel that really helps the recovery process. I think that's worked really, really well for me over the last, I think, year and a half with little niggles and stuff that I've had in my body.
It's great to hear, mate. It's great to hear. Like I've seen some golfers, right, top golfers, and I've seen the shape that they're in. And there's some guys in that course, mate. There's some guys in that course, like you've got your Tiger Woods who like look, they're in relatively good shape. Then you've got some guys who look like they just rolled out of a pub as well. Like how important is nutrition to you, like to you personally?
Over the last year, actually, I wouldn't even say year. Since I think the start of lockdown, it's been something that I've really tried to focus on and really tried to address, because for me, food has no boundaries. I will eat anything and everything at any time of day. I mean, me and my buddy James, we were traveling last year playing events together. We'd go to dinner, we'd have a pizza for dinner, then we'd have 6 donuts for dessert, and then whatever donuts were left, we'd wake up the next morning and have those for breakfast. And we'd just go out playing golf, trying to play golf on, trying to time, I guess, our sugar highs and our sugar lows. And it just wasn't working in the end. Like, you obviously get your fluky times where you're like, oh wow, that's cool, I had 6 donuts for breakfast this morning and I've just played really well. And it's like, well, I should do that every day, but no, I shouldn't, because there's days where I've done that and I've played really bad. So I think at the start of lockdown, I think March, February, I sort of sat down and I just said that, obviously with all of the lifting and stuff that I'm doing, I'm like, well, I need to start eating better. So taking protein shakes and cutting out all my sugar. And it's safe to say I haven't had a donut since then, which is quite good actually for me.
I mean, it's good and devastating at the same time, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
And one thing that always amazes me with golf is the mental side of it, and it's something that I play maybe a couple of times a year, and it's mainly because I lose my head so much. But I can't. Whenever I watch it at the top level, it always amazes me. Like, there's some guys who are able to like play consistently well, and then some guys who will come through, win a tournament maybe here and there, or be in and out of and miss cuts everywhere. But how important to you is like the mental side of golf?
It's very, I mean, it's something I've learned over the last 2 years. And I mean, I've had many experiences, different experiences where I'm in contention to win tournaments. And when everything's sort of free flowing and you're in the zone, the only thing really stopping you then is your mental side. And I think in golf, that's such a big part, because you have so much time on your hands. I mean, it's 4.5, 5 hours of you being with yourself, really. And I think with all the long walks that you have, it's so easy to get in your own head and just basically talk yourself out of it. So I think it's been quite key for me the last, I'd say, year, especially with the level that I'm playing at, where everyone can hit the ball and everyone can putt and chip, whatever, but it's who can do it at the right time when they really need to. And I think I've had my bad experiences where I've choked coming down the stretch, and I've been leading tournaments and I've not finished it off. And it does get in your mind and it does play around with you, but at the end of the day, you got to learn how to deal with it. And it's quite interesting learning techniques and ways that you can help yourself, I guess, become stronger mentally.
Yeah, definitely. When I played at Bath Rugby, we had a guy called Don McPherson, and he was like a mind coach.
Yeah.
And I went through this phase that, like, I used to hate kickoffs, because I went through a couple of games and like I dropped kickoffs, and it's just a moment where all the crowd like properly like get on your back when you drop a ball.
Yeah.
And like I went through this phase of like 2 games, I dropped every kickoff, and like I'd use this guy Don McPherson. He's like a mind coach, and he'd like do these like relaxation videos, and I'd be there like before a game with my headphones plugged in, like just like trying to relax, because I knew that like from that point on they would like putting kicks on me all the time. I was just like felt like felt like I had feet for hands at that point, but definitely helps like training the mind, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good segue. So like, what is, like, in terms of defeat, you spoke about there, like winning and then coming, like be leading and then losing, or not losing, I guess, coming second or third, whatever. Like, how do you come back from that?
I mean, it hit. This happened at the end of last year. I mean, I had a 1-shot lead going down the final 2 holes, which I played fantastic all week, and I just got to 18, and I just sort of got in my own head, saying that I just ended up putting too much pressure on myself and forcing mistakes, and it took me I'd say a good 2-3 months to get over. Probably purely because it was for my first professional win, and it came with some pretty nice benefits, I'd say. And it just, it was tough, but I think the one thing that I took out of it was eventually I tried to just look at all the positives. And when you're turning negative things into positives and you're thinking about only the positives, I think that's huge for not only your confidence, but just how you feel. Like, it just uplifted me almost. And I ended up walking away with that coming second. And I'm thinking, well, that's not that bad. Like, you've come second again, and you've done so much hard work, and it's all paying off. Like, you can only keep knocking on the door, and then a win comes along. So I think that's the main thing for me, even now, is just trying to take all the negativity out and just think positive. Just change all the scenarios to positive.
Yes, awesome. So one thing that I know is kind of close to your heart is the ADHD Foundation and the work that you do with that. Can you talk us through like your experience growing up with ADHD?
Yeah, I had many experiences that were not the best. I mean, I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 5. We were in America at the time, and my dad had it as well, but obviously back then there wasn't really anything for it, and he just learned to deal with it. And then obviously now, when I got diagnosed, you had all these medications and stuff. So I was taking all these medications when I was younger, obviously trying to find the right one that would obviously help me out and help control what I'm doing. And just terrible experiences of having to take them, and how I felt. I just didn't feel myself, didn't feel like I could do things myself, which wasn't fun. And it got to a point where I tried to come off them, and then as soon as I came off them and I'd go to school and stuff, then obviously I had no control over what I was doing, and I'd get bullied and stuff like that. And it got to the point where I mean, I used to walk to school, so it got to the point where I'd leave the house and I'd walk to school, and I'd just go somewhere else. I wouldn't go to school, and I would skip. And then obviously my parents would get a phone call saying I'm not in school, and they'd come find me, pick me up, and basically force me to go into school. And I just hated it. I had teachers who didn't understand me and how I operate, and all they would do was just throw me in the back of the classroom, just tell me to be quiet and do something. Like, they wouldn't help, they wouldn't give me a solution. So it just wasn't the best experience for me growing up, from I'd say probably 7 to even when I was up to about 15. I think just didn't feel like I fit in anywhere, which is a bit crappy.
Yeah. And what was like was there a turning point, and what was the turning point? Like how, I guess, what was sort of instrumental in helping you with ADHD?
I guess it just took a few years of just understanding who I was, having someone else there who wasn't part of my family. I met some very good friends. My best friend was probably one of the turning points, I'd say. I mean, he was always there to help me, and he understood me for who I was, and he didn't look at me differently because of I had ADHD. And I think he was a big help in me sort of accepting that and learning how to deal with it. And then slowly things started to get better. I came off my medication, and then I started to learn how to deal with it myself and how to control myself. I still think, even nowadays, I still think I'm learning how to deal with it all. I think I still do things without thinking and say things without thinking, which I shouldn't do, but obviously I'm still learning on what I need to do. But I think probably when I was 16, all that started to happen, and things just started to turn a little bit for the better, which was a nice relief.
Yeah. Would you have any advice, I guess, for young kids going through what you went through, as to, through your experiences, what would you offer them as advice?
It's a tough one because I think everyone's different, but at the same time, I think one thing that I really dwelled on was how I'm so different to everyone else. And that really affected me. But at the end of the day, you're not really any different to anyone else. I think there's so many positives that I find of having ADHD, especially nowadays with there's my athletic ability, I guess, and my willingness to learn new things and try new things, and how quickly I can pick stuff up. I think a lot of people don't realize that how good they can be at something, especially like, I mean, we might have attention problems, but I'd say those attention problems can be focused in on other places. And mine was always golf, and I was always focused on golf and stuff. And it was just like a way out. I'd say a lot of people that I've met and kids that I've met, I'd say I'm just trying to play as much sport as you can. And because, I mean, if you're playing sport, you're only judged for what you're doing, I guess. You're not judged for who you are as a person. So that's something that you're really in control of. You can control how good you are at what you're doing, which I think is quite good, I guess.
That's awesome, mate. So, well, we're towards wrapping up, but I guess just one last question. What inspires you?
That's tough. I think a lot of the time hard work inspires me. Seeing something that really inspired me was Tiger Woods' Masters win last year. To go through everything he went through. I mean, I know it was his fault, half of it, but to have all the back surgeries he had, to have everyone saying he's never going to be able to play again, he's never going to be able to win again, and for him to go out there and win on the biggest stage at the holy grail for golf was, I think, amazing. It was so good to watch, and it really inspired me to work harder and to believe more in what I'm doing.
Awesome, mate. Well, mate, thanks for coming on. We are massively excited to see you over the next couple of years, working with you over the next couple of years, and thanks for trusting in us, I guess, up till now.
Of course, it's working, so.
Great, that's good to hear. And yeah, you're an inspirational bloke, and we'll touch base soon.